What you're looking at is a $30 dinner, except it's not. It is the most expensive mistake in the history of money. Imagine walking into a pizza shop. You're hungry, you're tired, and you just want 2 large pepperoni pizzas right now. You don't have any cash, and you don't have a credit card. Instead, you offer a handful of digital tokens. He says yes. You eat the pizza, but 10 years later, you realize that dinner cost you $600 million. This is the story of Laszlo Hanyecz, the man who made the most expensive mistake in history, because money is just a story. In 2008, the big banks played a giant game of poker with everyone's houses. They gambled with our futures, and they lost. The economy was on fire. Governments printed trillions to save the banks, making your hard-earned cash worth less with every single second. We have to look at the history of the ledger. For decades, we trusted banks to keep the dates and amounts accurate, but the scales of justice were tipped. Gold was too heavy to move. Paper was being devalued. The world needed math. In the middle of this chaos, a mysterious ghost named Satoshi Nakamoto released a 9-page paper. It was a recipe for a new kind of money. That didn't need a CEO or a government. It was called a white paper, a blueprint for a digital gold that lived on a decentralized network. No single person could shut it down. No single bank could print it. But here is the twist. Satoshi Nakamoto doesn't exist. He vanished in 2011, leaving behind a fortune worth $75 billion that no one can touch. He communicated only through encrypted emails. His hands never touched a physical coin, only the keys of a mechanical keyboard. For years, he left the code in the hands of the people. Thousands of servers across the globe took up the task. Bitcoin lived. Think of Bitcoin like a magical Sudoku puzzle in the sky. Every 10 minutes, the network presents a new puzzle for computers. In the beginning, it was worthless. You could mine thousands of coins on a basic laptop while you were sleeping in your bedroom. People were collecting thousands of them, just for fun. They called it magic internet money. But they had a major problem. Row after row of black servers began to pulse with green light. The network was growing, but it remained digital air. The experts on Wall Street were screaming. They called it a Ponzi scheme. They said it was a bubble that would pop. But the nerds looked closer. They saw the code was perfect. They saw a supply fixed at exactly 21 million digital coins. On May 22, 2010, Laszlo Hanyecz posted on a forum, "I'll pay 10,000 bitcoins for a couple of large pizzas right now." People laughed. But a 19-year-old kid in Florida took the deal. He bought Papa John's with his own credit card. This was the first time Bitcoin was used to buy a physical object. The magic gold finally touched the real world. Laszlo looked at his screen through a magnifying glass. He saw the transaction confirm. The experiment was a success at last. Laszlo opened the box and saw the future. He had turned digital code into a steaming dinner. The spark was lit. Every eye in the tech world was now watching. They realized if it could buy pizza, it could buy the world. But where do you trade magic money? The biggest exchange was called Mt. Gox. It started as a site for trading cards. The lucky teen who took the coins didn't hold them. He sold them to buy a gaming computer and move on. But the industry was sailing into dangerous waters. A website called the Silk Road popped up in the shadows of the internet. It was an Amazon for the digital underworld. People were buying things they shouldn't. The media began to paint Bitcoin black. The experts on TV shouted that it was a scam. They said it was drug money for criminals and hackers alone. But the graph kept moving. slowly at first, then in a vertical line toward the moon. The math was working. We were sailing on a sea of binary code. No one knew if the ship would reach the shore or sink. Then, Mount Gox collapsed. Hundreds of thousands of bitcoins vanished. The grumpy suits laughed as the market crashed into red. When the FBI shut down the Silk Road, they seized 144,000 bitcoins. The government became the biggest whale. They found a vault door, filled with golden coins. They treated it like evidence, but it was a jackpot. The government was shocked at the value they were holding. They didn't know what to do with this fake money. The drug money they hated was suddenly the best investment they ever made. The U.S. Treasury was sitting on gold. They auctioned the coins off for millions. The golden key was now in the hands of the elite and the wealthy. Meet James Howells. In 2013, he threw an old hard drive into the trash. It contained 7,500 bitcoins. Today, that piece of metal is worth $500 million. It is buried under tons of old city diapers. James stands at his window, looking at the clouds, seeing his lost fortune in every shadow of the landfill. The bank was being converted into a digital server room. But for James, his bank was a mountain. James has spent 10 years marking X's on maps. He's offered the city $70 million for the right to dig. He hired NASA experts and built high-tech laboratories. He looks at the rusted metal and sees his life's work. But the answer is always no. The gate is locked. The treasure remains in the filth, likely forever. In 2024, the final wall fell. BlackRock, the largest investment firm on Earth, officially embraced the Bitcoin. The old system was crashing. The red arrows of debt were everywhere. The banks needed a lifeboat immediately. They realized that while the dollar was a melting ice cube, Bitcoin was a digital diamond in a vault. Scarcity was the new gold. The dollar was being grilled by the heat of extreme inflation. The U.S. Treasury was now flooding with gold. They made it legal for everyone to join the network. A portal has opened. The scam became a reserve asset for the world's richest banks. Think about the person sitting on a park bench today. They hold a phone with more power than 1970s computer. Satoshi Nakamoto is no longer a person. He is a signal, a ghost in every single screen we watch. We are planting the seeds of a new financial forest, a system grown through mathematics instead of permission. Look at our cities. The current of trust is changing its path toward a digital future. We are walking across a bridge of code. Below us is the fire of inflation and crashing debt. The old banks are like a row of dominoes. One falls, and the rest follow into the abyss. The mechanical hammer of math strikes. It mints a reality that no government can delete or change. We are trading the old books of debt for the ledger of truth. It only happens every 1,000 years. A portal has opened. You can choose to walk through or stay in the gray offices of the past. The FBI was watching, but they couldn't stop the clock. The protocol was already everywhere. The vault of the future was open. It wasn't made of steel, but of pure logic and energy. The suits in the government offices stared at their screens. They realized they didn't control the money anymore. People in the malls were buying digital gold. The secret was out. The revolution was televised. In the boardrooms, they stopped laughing. They started buying. The game was over. Chain was unbreakable. Each block was a stamp in history that could never be erased or modified. The digital clock is ticking to midnight. The old dollar is dying. The new gold is rising. Cash is blowing away in the wind. It's becoming paper again. Value has moved to the cloud. Satoshi is everywhere now. 100 screens, one message. Financial freedom is a choice. The miner in the cave has been replaced by the server in the rack. The pickaxe is now code. The magnet of math is pulling the wealth. It is a force of nature that cannot be resisted. Plant the flag on the peak of the new world. The code has won. The story is yours. The future always looks like a joke until it becomes reality. Laszlo looks back at that photo from 2010. He doesn't regret a thing. He bought a place in history. He gave the world the first spark. And the rest of us? We're just trying to make sure we don't throw our future away. Because in the world of digital gold, there is only the code, the keys, and the choice. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.